I'm not always a fresh, sweet corn guy. But I was compelled to try out another corn recipe this past week after being reminded of the allure of fresh corn polenta. Corn is bountiful right now in mid-August, and the thought of making polenta for this summer Italian menu, it energized me right away. I've never made this dish before though. That's true of a handful of dishes that I've cooked on this channel, and I'm usually pretty confident that they'll work out. All the same, I searched YouTube to see if anyone else was making this, and I found scant few results. I did find a short video from mustachioed Top Chef alum Joe Sasso doing a quick demo of this. It seemed simple enough, and that dude definitely has some chops, so I was off to the races. When picking up the corn, the store also had some killer-looking chanterelles that I immediately knew I had to pair with polenta here. Summer corn is of course sweet, so along with those earthy mushrooms, I thought about what else would play nice on the plate. I went simple and as Italian as I could with a pair of greens, Arugula and Dandelion, to round out this plate. In my head, everything made sense. Whenever you're making a plate of food for the first time, though, there's always a degree of uncertainty. That rush you get when you put your ideas on the plate for the first time, well, that's what this is all about. First up are the mushrooms. I know chanterelles are technically French and I'm cooking Italian food, but I don't care. Chanterelle mushrooms are absolutely one of the crown jewels of the fungi kingdom, along with porcini, morels, and matsutakis. Chanterelles supposedly have tasting notes of butter and black pepper and apricots, but I gravitate to them for their contrast. Delicate but meaty, earthy but ethereal. Like all mushrooms, they're super receptive to fat and herbs, so I slowly sauteed them with oregano in olive oil. The core principle of great ingredients remains intact with this preparation. Keep it simple, stupid. I never want to miss out on what makes these great by overcomplicating things. Next up on the checklist was to prepare the polenta. I picked up 4 ears of corn for this. And by the way, if anyone ever needs some help shucking corn, I'm your man. I don't even need to eat it. The sound and aroma of shucking corn just sends me to another place. I don't care that me and my apartment are covered in silken corn husks afterwards. It's just an experience. I'm always down for it. Now, taking the corn off the cob, on the other hand, well, you are welcome to call somebody else for that job. Just like eating corn on the cob, these kernels can be an explosive situation. I tried to follow Chef Sasso's advice of putting a bowl in a bowl to neatly collect all of these kernels, and man, that was not happening. It was not the smoothest bit of prep, but I got the job done. Now, into the lidded cup of the blender went all of those kernels, safely contained as I prepared to pulverize them and explode them for real this time in a properly contained environment. Now, I'm not making corn soup, of course, so I didn't want to puree this on max for like 10 minutes. It's more like 3/4 of max speed for a little less than 5 minutes. This is ready to start cooking at this point. But since there is no greater sin than cold polenta, I want the rest of my dish absolutely ready to go first. Dandelion greens are a Roman staple and can get pretty bitter, especially when eaten raw, but that's kind of part of the appeal here. They're peppery too, and a nice complement to the other green I cut these with, arugula. I'll toss these together and dress them just before plating once the polenta is done and super hot. Okay, it's the moment of truth. Time to test this polenta recipe. I get the pan hot, a little too hot to be honest, but here we go. That quick scalding of fond on the bottom of the pan reintegrates into the polenta pretty quickly since there's so much liquid in the corn. The idea here is to cook it until the natural starches and the corn thicken everything up. All right, The polenta is hot, so the clock is ticking to get this on the plate and into my greedy mouth. First, the greens. I'll hit these with a dash of olive oil, a pinch of salt, and a heavy dose of white wine vinegar. I've got the mushrooms on hand. Now, let's plate. In goes a nice thick layer of polenta ready to receive everything else. First though, I drown that with some good olive oil and 1,000 cracks of black pepper. Then goes a layer of the tossed greens and finally those sauteed chanterelles. So, here's the question. Is that fresh corn polenta any good? In short, yes. But there are some caveats here. Sweet summer corn is kind of insanely sweet already, and by thickening it and reducing it in the pan, that sweetness gets really kind of intense. I went heavy on the vinegar in the salad, which gives it an agrodolce vibe, aka sweet and sour, which plays along pretty well with the bitter and peppery greens. It's maybe a little too intense for those delicate mushrooms, but the earthiness there does help ground things a bit. Here's the thing. Polenta as you usually see it, which is dried, ground, and bagged, is made from flint corn, which is not sweet at all. Polenta made with fresh sweet corn is good, but if you ask me, that's kind of only the case with a heavy hand on the bottle of vinegar to bring it back into the realm of savory. I love a good agrodolce, but that's not necessarily what you're after if you're in the mood for polenta. This polenta is different. It's fresher for one. It's not as heavy as a long simmered and stirred polenta that you experience more likely in the winter months. But at the end of the day, this is summer cooking. Summer is hyperbole. Everything is cranked to 11. This isn't the delicate baby produce of spring. These are intense, fully developed flavors from ingredients that have been sitting under a hot sun for months now. I knew the corn would be sweet, but I didn't give it enough credit for how sweet it would get. But now, I know. If you like today's video, click on that like button down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, click subscribe. That's it from me today. Thank you for coming. I'm going to see you next time. Bye now.